part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Chase Smith, founder and CEO of Press Play Podcast. You may have heard me on the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast with Jeremy Powell, now wonderfully hosted by Holly Wetzel, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast with Sam Amico, or my own podcast, the Chase Smith Podcast. I wanted to take a few moments to talk to you about a brand new subscription-based podcast we're offering this football season, the Press Play Sports Podcast. This premium podcast feed will send all of the sports podcasts offered on the Press Play Podcast Network to one central feed. Yes, you can still follow and subscribe to all of our individual shows for free on every podcast platform. But if you wanted to consolidate your podcast feed and listen to them all in one location, the Press Play Sports Podcast is for you. I'm talking the Oranges and Oranger Browns podcast with Holly Wetzel and Jeremy Powell, Red Guy and Rhoda, Sable Brothers on the Baseline, Cavs on the Break, the Dennis Maniloff Show, the Ball Card Show, the Premium Fantasy Podcast, a Swing in a Tribe MLB podcast, and the Tim and Shipe Show, a college football podcast, all in one feed. All 9 of our sports shows curated into one single podcast feed. Out the door, you're looking at $5.36 a month after tax. That's $5.36, just about the cost of a drink at Starbucks. And this is only offered on Apple Podcasts. You can't get this anywhere else. It's an Apple Podcast exclusive. Just go to the search bar and search Press Play Sports. It'll come up and you can subscribe from there. We're excited to offer this consolidated, curated sports feed for you to enjoy. And as always, thank you so much for listening and your support.
This episode of the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Align Health Center. Align Health Center is the first chiropractic biophysics clinic in Northern Ohio. The team at Align Health Center helps patients with back pain, neck pain, migraines, ADHD, digestive issues, sleep disturbance, whiplash, scoliosis, and much more. And along with chiropractic biophysics, Align Health Center is also the leading clinic in regenerative medicine, also known as stem cell injections. And listen, you don't have to be an NFL player to get it done or have this treatment. If you have low back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, or arthritis, check out the Regenerative Medicine Clinic at Aligned Health Center. Come in for a free consultation, complete with imaging and x-rays to see how Aligned Health Center can help you. No multiple shots are needed, and it's complete with physical therapy built into the process, so there's no downtime. And look, it gets even better. Align Health Center doesn't charge people for x-rays or exams, and they don't bill you later. They let you know right away the cost. They're upfront and transparent. They are number one for a reason. Call Align Health Center today at 440-385-7357 or visit their website at alignedhealthcenters.com to make an appointment and to learn more about how Align Health Center can help you. Again, that's 440-385-7357 or visit alignedhealthcenters.com.
45-40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribb! Snap back, ball down, kick block! They blocked the kick!
Hello, and welcome into the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast. I am your host, Holly Wetzel. You can find me on Twitter, of course, at Holly and Liz. I'm joined as always with my Baker Mayfield realist partner, Jeremy Powell.
Let's go.
AKA Jeremy in Akron. Jeremy and I just, spit facts and truth, and logic.
That's right.
But Jeremy, we have a special guest today.
Right.
Our fearless leader who cannot stay away for too long, which is good. Press Play Podcast founder and former Orange is Oranger host, Mr. Chase Smith, and I would believe is a Baker honk at this point. So Chase, welcome back.
Of course.
Hey, thanks. You guys have done a great job with the show. Listen every week, and it's a joy. I do miss it, but when I hear how well you guys are doing, I just know every week is the best decision to let you guys take this thing and let it fly. So there has been a lot of Baker hate, and we've texted personally about it. We have a thread. We do. We've tweeted about it a couple times. And look, Holly, first, I felt bad that all of my Baker army came after you a couple weeks ago. I tried to call them off, but they didn't listen.
I'm sure. Mm-hmm.
We don't really listen well to anyone.
Tried real hard. I'm sure you were part of a couple of those burner accounts.
No,
I
do not have a burner. I would never. I do not have a burner account.
Can you imagine having a burner account though? You really have to not like people or society to get a fake account and get on there and harass people.
Well, this is how I know I would not do well with the burner account. I already sometimes respond from the Orange is Oranger account every now and then, like when I was hosting all the time, that I would either like something or say something. It's like, oh, this isn't mine. So inevitably I would say something that would, oh, that's Chase, or okay, that would give it away. Like Kevin Durant did, I think, that one time. But no, I do not have a burner account.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. So no, but yeah, I'm Camp Baker. I will buy all your stock, and I can't believe. Like I just can't believe, and Rich Eisen summed up perfectly exactly what I've been screaming like this whole time. Like, I know I don't want to, but like, what else do you want? What else
Chase,
do you want?
What do you mean? What else do we want? We want him to be able to fit, come up in those major moments. I don't think the problem with let me back up.
Are we doing this now? Are we doing this now?
Let's do it now. We got to go now.
We might as well. So what's crazy to me is like, you can either be on one side, like if you criticize him, you are a Baker hater, right? Done. Or if you love him, like literally someone called him a martyr last week on Twitter.
Okay,
so
that's too far.
I mean, and if, God forbid, I literally tweeted, I have questions, and you would have thought before, without any context around it, that you said Baker didn't cost them the game against the Chargers. I was like, what? I never said that. So It's unfortunate that we can't just be any type of critical. I mean, look, we now know that the injury has obviously played a major part in this, but the injury storyline is also something that Jeremy and I have talked about that I kind of have a weird issue with. But at the end of the day, he has room to improve, hands down, and he's a good quarterback. I want him to be great. We want him to succeed, but he's not worth that money that you so willingly said would drop off at his front door before we started.
Feel free. Every starting quarterback knows that they're open for criticism from the media, from their coach, from their team, from their fans. Like, that's just part of being a starting quarterback. That's fine. What I took issue with was saying you don't want to offer him like this extension or like show him any gratitude or thanks or recognition that what he's done. Are you kidding me?
Chase, it's not show friends, it's show business. And you can't just give him money to thank him for what he's done. Listen, Chase, here's what I believe. I think you can win a Super Bowl with Baker. I've said this multiple times, but Baker has to be surrounded by parts. Baker is not bringing anybody up. You need Nick Chubb. You need great pieces around him. That's why you cannot pay him 35 to 45 million a year. You cannot do it.
I have a hot take about Nick Chubb.
Lombardi.
I don't know if you need Nick Chubb.
All right.
Maybe
Chase,
not.
This might be your last.
You need Wyatt Teller.
This might be your last.
You need Wyatt Teller. No. I get where you're going with that. But look, Dearness Johnson's a big reason. If you watch Dearness Johnson play the other night, that's why most teams don't play running backs, because you can pull a running back out of somewhere, anywhere, and get a couple good years out of him. I get what you're saying. But my point is, Baker needs to have all the pieces around him. You will not be able to do that if you give him a Russell Wilson type, Patrick Mahomes type contract. Mike Lombardi brought that up on our show a few weeks ago. He said that's the reason that hasn't gotten done yet, because the Browns know that if they go over that 30 million threshold, over that threshold of Russell Wilson is, and get into that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, those guys type money, that they're not going to be able to spread around the assets like they have now to build this team around him. Chase has not proven that he can bring guys up. He has proven that he can manage a really good roster and win games. People, but he has podcasting. Not. He has not. It's just, who has he made that much better?
The entire organization. We won one game in 2 years.
What player?
What are you about? He led us to the playoffs. We won a game in Pittsburgh against Pittsburgh.
Right. Because he has.
Who else has he brought up? The entire team.
Listen, he hasn't. The roster the Browns have right now is unbelievably good. There's no holes. There's no major holes in that offense. You have an unbelievable offensive line. You have great receivers. You have great running backs. You have arguably two of the best top 6 running backs in the league, and maybe the best offensive line. In my opinion, they definitely have the best guard center guard combo in the league. I don't even think it's a question. But Tonio, Teller, Treader is the best guard center guard combo in the league. I can't remember who it was, but one national pundit the other day said, no one has done less with more than Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has not made any of these guys better. He has one of the best supporting casts in the league, and they're at 4-3 right now.
I think he got Higgins paid.
And Chase,
1.25 million. 1.25 million. That's what
that's 1.25 million more than me.
Unreal. He's going to need these pieces around him, like Jeremy said. He's just going to have to. He's a system QB from what we've seen, and that's okay. It's not a knock, but is he worth Patrick Mahomes' money right now? No. So the Browns, if anything, which I flipped on this, because earlier in the summer, right after the season, I was like, I think we got to pay him. I think we got to set the tone, the whole deal. And now I'm like, well, thank God we didn't, because you just don't know what's going to happen. He's certainly played. Look, the first week he played phenomenal, but when it came down to those key moments, he's still not getting there. And that's where we need him to be. And that's just the bottom line. And you can't pay him that money. We're not saying don't give him the contract. We're not saying franchise him,
right?
But he's not worth that money.
Well, and you brought up a good point, Holly. Hold on, Jeremy. I gotta jump in here, Jay. Hold on. I'm the guest. Yeah. I'm the guest. Okay. I get to talk. I'm the guest. Jeremy's biting his lip so hard right now. Holly said, "Let's go." They've got to set the tone. Baker is a locker room guy. You want to set the tone with organization that like respects and like pays what they deserve. Like, why not pay the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns? The fact that you guys are making a big deal about cap blows my mind. Anyway, Jeremy, what are you known for the past two seasons?
What do you want to pay him?
What am I known for?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what you pay him.
It matters.
What I've always said is the cap is a malleable myth, as in you can mold the cap to what you want to do. The longer it's manipulatable if you have the money.
The more expensive his contract.
I don't know if that's true, though. I don't know if that's true at this point.
Every year, they're always signing the newest, most expensive whatever. That happens all the time.
Listen, to back Holly's point, what has happened the last 3 times Baker Mayfield has been a situation where he has to win the game? Kansas City, and the Chargers. What has happened? He's thrown a pick. He's had a big turnover. He hasn't got it done. Mm-hmm. He has not got it done the last 3 big situations. Big players make big plays in big games and big moments. Right now, since the Cincinnati Bengal game, Baker Mayfield has not made a big play in a big moment.
So are we only talking about when we're behind? Because there are a lot of drives we're up by 1 score and it's third and long and we need a first down to win.
Right.
That's happened 4 or 5 times last season.
The best teams league.
And he has to be able to do a comeback win. And he's not been able to do that.
Time against the best teams.
From behind one team.
Right.
Look,
money time against big teams.
Okay.
It's like how I said, we got to have the running game going. Chance
we have to take with our quarterback in Cleveland. Sign me up. Jeez, I don't know. Like he's 24, and he's had. You're talking about 3 instances where you're like, you better do it.
The last 3 incidents. Listen, Chase, how much would you pay him?
I don't know.
How much would you give him?
That's what I want to know.
I mean,
that's a great. It matters.
I don't know enough about the cap to understand like what an offer is. I'm sorry. I don't.
I'm sure Baker wants 35 to 40 million a year.
Would you pay him that, Chase?
Sure. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever it takes to keep him here for the next 5 to 7 years.
25% of the cap. So then you have 75% of the cap to fill your other 51 roster spots.
Look, dude, all I know is he wins everywhere he goes. He has taken us to the second round of the playoffs. He is a stable presence. He's a leader. He has embraced Cleveland. The guys love playing for him. And again, this is just what I observe, right? I don't even know if that's true because I'm not in the locker room and I don't, I'm just observing a team that
from what you see
loves to block, that has a coach for the second season that he's had 4 head coaches. Last year was a COVID season.
Well, Chase,
like
I think that's what I'm saying. Just because we're saying that this is where we think he might land here doesn't mean we're saying that he's not going to be a great quarterback one day and be a part of a system that wins us the Super Bowl. Right now, we just haven't seen that moment. And I can't wait to see that moment. I think he can get to that moment in time for sure. The injury is a really big setback right now. And we feel like it's at this point probably going to be a week-to-week thing. But again, I think the things that we're criticizing are, I think, actual real things. And I hate that theme where it's like, well, why can't you just be happy like with what you have? And it's like, because now that we know what we have and what we could have, we've seen him play phenomenal and great. So when he doesn't play to that level, it's really frustrating.
Yeah. And I would give him a contract based off last season alone. That's just me. I think the argument's deeper than why can't you just be happy with what you have? I think legitimately what he has done, what he has shown he can do, and how he can lead and play at this. I think he deserves it. It's not that, and I know I said they need to like recognize and reward him. Yes, I think that's part of it, but also like I love the moxie that he brings. I love having him as our quarterback. I love how people love to hate him and people jump on him and hold him accountable and this is an interesting thing. Do you think other teams in the AFC North want us to give him this big contract? Like objectively, do you think the Ravens, Steelers, and Bengals are like, man, I hope the Browns do, or I hope they don't?
That's a pretty good question, actually. I've never really thought about it.
Thanks. I used to host a podcast
what
one
you're
time.
saying is, do you think? so do I think that the Ravens are scared of Baker Mayfield? Essentially, do I think that the Ravens think that the Browns are better with Baker Mayfield as opposed to another quarterback? I mean, look, history shows how bad we've been, and now I think it was Colin Cowherd who actually stood up for Baker a little bit and said, it's hard to find average quarterback play, and we have at least average quarterback play, which is exactly why I said I would sign Baker, but it would.
What a CompuSalt. You guys ever watch Community?
No, but that makes sense.
25 million though, 25 million a year, 25 million, like pay him a little more than the average quarterback, but maintain flexibility where we can still build around him. And I've told Holly last week, I think Baker is smart enough to realize that he does need some parts and pieces. And look, Tom Brady did it for years. Tom Brady took less money so he could have better players around him. And Baker's got what, 5 giant endorsement deals. He doesn't need the money. If he holds out for the 40 million, it's got to be like an ego-based thing, right? He's going to be set for life no matter what. So I think that Baker Mayfield is smart enough to know that if he takes a little less money, it could lead to him having a better career and a longer career and more success. That's my opinion, Jace. And, I like Baker and I want to keep Baker. I just don't want to make it where it's prohibitive to keep decent players around.
Yeah,
that's all.
Right.
Holly, do you think the rest of the AFC North wants us to re-sign Baker?
I don't know how much they really, when I think about that, I think the players versus like the management, right? So do I think the players really give a shit? Well, sure, probably to a certain extent, because if he's going to set any certain precedent and make Patrick Mahomes money or hit that top of the payroll, then yeah, that's going to obviously spark, and only give them a chance to make just as much money. Management, I mean, I guess, to a certain extent, because they don't want to pay their players too that much. So I think it's a consideration, but do I think that they're worried about Baker getting a big contract? No, I don't right now.
So just on record, you guys want to re-sign Baker, but not for a lot of money. Is that where both of you are at?
Right. I think it has to be a team-friendly deal. I think that's worked for both sides, but I think it's got to lean towards team-friendly, sort of like Nick Chubb. Look, by all accounts, Nick Chubb's contract is team-friendly. And so I don't think the Browns would put themselves in a position.
Well, he can't stay healthy. So
2 games he's playing this week.
Give me a break. What's happening right now?
He's missed 6 games in his career, and he's going to be back Monday.
And he's probably playing on Sunday.
No. Go back and look, Chase. He missed 4 games last year, none the year before, 2 this year, and he's playing Sunday. Exactly.
So do you think that's where most of the Browns fan base is? They want to re-sign Baker. It's just that we're arguing about cap numbers. Is that where we're at?
Which I always said was stupid. So it sounds funny because I always said that you could always manipulate the cap, which you could. Years and years and years, the Browns could always manipulate the cap for 2 reasons. One, their owner didn't care about the money, and B, we never had to pay a franchise quarterback. So there was always money we carried over from year to year on the cap. That's coming to an end. Still true. That's still coming. That's coming to an end. Yes, you can still manipulate the cap, but it's tougher. That's why Seattle had to get rid of the Legion of Boom. That's why they had to reset how they did things. And that's why me and you always said this was our window. Hold on a second. That's why me and you always said this was our window right now, because we would have that flexibility to have a really great roster, just like Seattle did with Russell Wilson the first time through and won a Super Bowl. So
rookie deals. Yeah, God, I love Browns Twitter. We're arguing about like a quarterback we've looked for 2.5 decades, and we're arguing about 5 or 10 million.
You can't. It's just the way of the world now. It's like you're on one side or the other. It's unfortunate, and it goes even down to Browns Twitter. So that's.
Shouts to Browns Twitter.
Nuance is a thing of the past, my friend.
All right, let's wrap up our. We went right into the.
We just jumped right in, man. Well, that was amazing.
You've been itching. Jeremy's been itching. We've all been like, yes, let's get this finally hashed out, because we've been doing it.
Leslie's like, dear God, Chase, record a Browns podcast. I don't care.
Good news is we're all on the same page. We all want him. We all know his potential. It's just a matter of where he's going to line up on the pay scale, and that he's going to need the supporting cast. So, okay.
Yeah. Now I will say one more thing before you throw to a break. Jeremy, at first I disagreed with your let Ward walk, sign Teller take. At first I didn't agree with that, but dude, I'm sold now.
Yeah.
I think that's the way that we need to go.
And Teller is so good. He's so good. I mean, Wyatt Teller is, if you just watch from week to
Ward's
week.
been a disappointment.
And Ward has been a little, even when he's been healthy, which is rarely.
Yeah.
I don't know how to look this up, and maybe someone who's listening can and let us know. I feel like Ward gets pass interference calls all the time. Like, Does that just me, or does it feel like he like is like very physical but gets called a lot? I mean, I don't know. I feel like it happens like
It does feel like that
all the time, and I don't know if there's a stat to see like most like
that's a good point.
penalized corners. But I feel like he's got to be. I'm going to look that up while you go to break.
Okay. All right. Well, that's our Baker discussion. We are going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
For the Dennis Maniloff Show, I'll tap into my 40-plus years of following Cleveland sports and 30-plus years of writing and talking about them, so as to bring you informed opinions and analysis of your favorite players and teams. I also will monitor the national sports scene and, when warranted, step out of the toy department and into the real world. And I'll always be on the lookout for special guests. By all means, join us.
Hey, it's JD from the Hyman Podcast. I created this podcast to have hard conversations. Conversations that make us human but are also wildly uncomfortable. Conversations that help give voice to the voiceless and to the marginalized. Now you can listen to the entire first season on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Consider this your personal invitation to join the conversation.
Hey everybody, I'm Gary.
And I'm Jason. Opening cards as a kid, no matter what was in the pack, you always had that stick of chewing gum. Well, it turns out Gary and I opened up a box of 86 Tops last year, and let me tell you, the chewing gum does not age well.
Join us on the Ball Card Show,
the sports podcast for the sports collector.
This is Mike Voorhees, co-host of the Swingin' a Tribe MLB podcast. If you love Cleveland Indians baseball, then this is the pod for you. We've got you covered each week as we talk about all the games, breaking news, trades, the roster, all things Tribe. You're going to love it. Go Tribe.
Hey, it's Tito, host of the Premier Fantasy Podcast. Get all the news and analysis you need to dominate your fantasy league. I've been doing this as long as anybody in the business. I can help give you the edge in your leagues. It's the Premier Fantasy Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Want to hear more about your favorite TV shows and movies that are on countless streaming services?
Then listen to Up Next with your new favorite hosts, me, Kristen Aviles,
and me, Christina Walter.
Every other week, we'll highlight one genre, but 2 movies or TV shows, one old and one new.
We'll let you know what's hot and what's not from your favorite
or least favorite
streaming services.
And be sure to stay tuned to the end of each episode where we shout out an artist whose name you should know for their talent in the industry.
So follow us to stay up to date with your favorite hosts from Up Next,
a part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
All right, welcome back to the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast. I'm Holly Wetzel, joined by Jeremy Powell and our special guest, Mr. Chase Smith, former.
Let's go.
What's funny is we usually do let our guests speak like a lot without interrupting them. Chase comes on, I won't let him say 4 words without cutting him off.
He's got to say, wait a minute, I'm the guest. I'm the guest.
That's all right.
Dang it, I'm the guest, Jeremy. Let me talk.
Well, we
last year, just a little bit of word. He had 2 pass interference calls last year. He already has 2 this year, and he's on and off the field as well. So take that for what it's worth. He's been late a couple years, so I don't know. But yeah, all right.
Yeah, we have not been shied in general from pass interference calls. So okay, all right. So let's recap last week's Thursday night win against the Broncos, 17-14, which I accurately predicted. So Jeremy, thank you for my Facebook shout out. So I guess I should have maybe played the lottery or something after that night, but let's go, guys, you know.
Right.
But so okay, Broncos, I will say, when Jeremy and I recorded on Tuesday or Monday of last week, Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember now. I was, and I feel like we both were like, not feeling good. We're beat up. The whole Baker thing was still a huge question mark. I was frustrated because I thought, like, if he plays and he's hurt, like, I'm going to be pissed. But if he still plays and he says it's not a factor, then I don't want to hear one more about it. We were like really into it. But when I found out he wasn't playing on Wednesday, things kind of started to settle down. Once the Browns had a plan and I knew they were going to start Case, I started to weirdly feel better about winning that day. And right up until kickoff, I just thought to myself, you know what, this is going to be a big opportunity for Stefanski to get back on his play calling. I think, it's going to be, I think the guys are fired up enough. So which ended up getting the job done, right? So Case did a great job. He did what he needed to do. It was a team win. I really felt like everyone stepped up. I thought it was a good coaching win across the board too. And I think it was really refreshing to see, with our back against the wall like that, the old Browns probably would have lost and faltered.
Yeah, probably.
And we overcame it. So it was really exciting. So guys, give me your thoughts. You can also talk about how amazing Dearness Johnson was. I mean,
yeah.
Chase,
I think that.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say Dearness Johnson. What happened with Dearness Johnson in that game, though, I think is like why we love sports.
Right.
A guy in a big spot, the biggest stage, everybody watching, national TV. The guy who it's been widely talked about, worked on the mahi fishing boat and all that stuff, and had to beg to get in the AAF, the Alliance of American Football, all that stuff to go out on national TV, carry a team to a win, 145 yards with two of the best backs in the league hurt. I thought it was an awesome story. Just like he says, it's like the reason we love sports, to see great performances, right? And to see a guy like that have his moment on that stage, it was incredible. I loved it for him. I loved it for the Browns. It was so huge for the city and so huge for the team. Just such a big night. And it was just a great thing to see. And I loved every second of it, honestly. What do you think, Chase?
Yeah, I think anyone who's watched the Browns, like, they should be surprised that Dearness Johnson showed up every time he has an opportunity. He ran well last year against the Cowboys. He ran really well in the preseason. And I was telling some friends I'm in a fantasy league with who needed a running back. I said, look, sign Dearness Johnson. He's going to have a great game. We have the best O-line, and he's just a really hard runner. He runs great. And he did. And I was very, very excited that he was able to kind of have the kind of game that he did. The players were pumped. I love post-game locker room videos. I love listening to speeches, and they were so pumped for him. They all gathered around, dumped the waters. It was great. I love when teams post that. So yeah, I was actually surprised that we won. I did not think we were going to win. I think it's exactly a coach's win. And it did regain my faith and trust a little bit in Stefanski, just because I was a little sour on him. But yeah, I think it was a great win for the team too. I think gosh, we would have been last in the division, last in the conference. I mean, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been a big turning point. I mean, as much as I was leading up to it, I thought, well, it's not that big of a deal. But as time went on, I was like, you know what? No, this is actually a really big game for us, and more of just a straight morale win. I mean, I felt like if we didn't get this done, I don't know where we would be right now this week. So at least we know we can have the next man up, right? That's the mentality with this team and with Stefanski. So it
reminded me of the Broncos game with Kitchens as head coach, where Baker first looked like the slob after the presser. That was his first slob look, I think.
Oh, God, yes.
That was a big game
many
too.
Looks of Baker.
Yeah.
God.
And he kind of had a slob look going after the Cardinals game too. He wore the big oversized coat and the loose neck fitted. Why does he do that to himself? But anyway, that was the old Browns team that loses games like that. That was a big game against the Broncos. This is a big game against the Broncos, but we have the complete opposite end of the spectrum as far as coaching and preparation. So it was nice to okay, breathe easy, everybody. We're actually a good football team, remember? And we've had an incredibly rough schedule. So
yeah.
Before we get off of Dearness Johnson, let me say one more thing. I know we have a great offensive line, and obviously they played great, and you can see that. But you have to, if you go back and watch, he was great. He set up a lot of those runs. He had a lot of times where he'd press the edge and then cut back and get through a little crease. You know, it was not. He's the real deal. He is a really good player. It is not just that offensive line. He did a lot of stuff in that game that made me say, "Wow." You know, and if you go back and watch our guy Brian Baldinger, who I love to have on the show someday, but Baldy's breakdowns, he said the same thing. He watched. He goes, "This is not a fluke.
Right?
This guy can play." You know, and so I don't want to just, you know, yes, we have the best offensive line in the league, in my opinion, but you have to give him some credit because he made those plays. He set those plays up. It wasn't just the line. It was also a lot of.
He gave himself more opportunities in the league on Thursday nights. Some team is going to.
There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
Be very happy with having him on his team. Unfortunately, we just have the best running back room in the league. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Thanks for the Nick Chubb compliment there, Chase. Finally.
No, he's great. He's the best running back I've ever seen on a box of cereal. But I'm just going to say that they're great. But running backs, they're not at a premium. They're easier to find. Dearness Johnson, for instance.
Sure, absolutely.
Like quarterbacks, but Chubb is special.
Chubb is special and Hunt is special. We have two very nice weapons.
I know I've been hard on Chubb. He's great. I love that he's on the Browns. I don't want him anyone else, but I mean, I think running backs. Anyway. All right. Great win against the Broncos and on to Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Baby.
Well, before we get to Pittsburgh, real quick, I do want to talk about Odell Beckham Jr. because. If anything, guys, I did tweet at this too. As I was watching the game, I'm like, I hate to say this, but I feel like seeing him drop passes from Case made me feel better about his drops from Baker. I'm like, at least he's consistent and made me feel better about the Baker OBJ drama thing, whatever the hell that, you know, whatever narrative we've created or not created or what. But I almost feel like now it seems to be like an OBJ versus OBJ thing. Something's definitely going on with him on a mental level. He's almost feels like he's not trusting himself. He's not confident out there. I mean, he caught, God, what was it? It was one of the longer catches. And like he erupted and like, I was like right after, and I was like, oh my God. Like
I noticed that as well.
Wow. You know, so it was a little shocking. So I know we're not going to trade him. I know he's going to be throughout the end of the year. I really hope that he does find his footing and does make any type of major game changing play for us as we go down the stretch here with the rest of the season. But I'm sad. I'm disappointed. I mean, we just have not been able to see that really from him. And I feel like it's an OBJ versus himself thing right now. So Chase.
I agree 100%. I noticed that as well, too. I noticed that it was after he caught the 18-yard catch in the third quarter on the sideline. He was wide open, and he made that catch, and he got super pumped. And I was thinking, well, he did have 2 drops in the first half. He hadn't made any plays. And, you know, it's just interesting. I think you're right. I think he's kind of got the yips like a golfer where he just doesn't feel comfortable, and it's just I don't know what it's going to take, but I hope he finds it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I get major Kevin Love vibes. Just a player who has produced at a high level.
Yeah, it is.
Who's a big name. There does seem to be something else going on. I don't know what it is. I hope he's okay. You know, and where was I Thursday night? I wasn't able to watch right after halftime, but he didn't come out with the team. And did Jarvis go back inside and bring him out? Like what happened there? Because I missed that. I missed that. I read some tweets. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Jeremy, were you? Did you notice?
I saw them walk out. I saw them walk out together in the second half.
Oh,
but I didn't know.
Maybe that was just it.
Yeah, they definitely walked out together in the second half, and they did walk out late. I remember like 1:30 on the halftime clock. Usually they come out around 3.5 minutes. Jarvis and Odell came out together. I did notice that because I'm right by the tunnel there.
Yeah.
So,
so you know, I don't know. It was sad seeing him drop, and I was sad.
Well, that's what I mean. It's sad. It's not. If anything, I said I was happy in the fact that it's not a Baker OBJ thing. That it's probably just an OBJ thing. Because can you even imagine if OBJ would have caught every pass from Case, and it would have been like this major thing? I can't even imagine the storylines, the narratives that would have come out of that. So I'm happy that in that sense that hopefully Baker, geez, I hope OBJ can. Yeah, overcome whatever's going on because there is clearly something else.
Yeah, I hope he's okay, and I hope he continues to stick with the team. And understand that, hey, like we're all playing for something bigger. And yeah, I want to see him have it. What if he has a big game this Sunday against the Steelers? That would just be the best.
Well, I've said before, like all he needs is one big game right now.
Mhm.
Like I think that would really change everyone's mind. And even if he does have a couple major big plays for us, like down the stretch for the rest of the year, then great. Like he's not, as long as he's not hurting us, then you know.
Holly, one of your new colleagues, Jake Trotter, Browns covers for the Browns. I love when he like retweets or posts those like movable player like plays. You kind of see like how the play progresses, where the players move on the field.
Yes.
And as of the Chargers games, as of 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, he was still like drawing defenses towards himself when he's on the field. And so I know he's not producing numbers wise, but teams are still, hey, where's OBJ? Hey, where's OBJ? Which opens up everyone else. And so he still is having an impact on the game. And it would be nice to kind of see some of that translate to touchdowns and open field, like yards after catch too. He's dynamic. Maybe field a punt. Why not just get the ball in his hands and say, hey, like, let's just play football, return some punts. I don't know.
He's making all these fancy catches in practice, right? Pre-game and stuff too. Like, why is it not translating?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have him return punts just to get the ball in his hand and say, hey man, like this isn't a punishment. We just got to get you engaged and remember what it's like to have fun playing football. Go return some punts and let's see what you got, man. I don't know. That's what I would do, Jeremy. You're the football coach. What do you say?
They did try that against San Francisco in his first year here, and he fumbled the punt. Right away. So, remember?
Well, that was, I mean,
no, I probably wouldn't.
That game was awful.
I agree 100%, but I would probably set it up differently. Get him a little quick reverse, just a bubble early in the game to get him involved. I think he's also dealing with some injuries. I think I read today he's actually got a partially torn labrum as well. So he's dealing with some shoulder issues as well.
He's had that for a long time now.
Yeah, I think he brought that up, and then I read it today that he actually has, but it's in both shoulders. So he has an injury in both shoulders. He's going to play through them, but
Yikes.
so I probably wouldn't have him return kicks, but I definitely agree with you that they got to find a way to get creative and get him involved early in the game. Look at that Cowboy game last year. They run the double reverse pass from Jarvis to him for the touchdown. He ends up having his best game, in his time with the Browns. So I think you're right. I think they should get creative to give him the ball. I probably wouldn't do it on the kicks, but they got to do something to get his confidence back.
Yeah, for sure. Well, who knows? Yeah, maybe this weekend. So let's go to this weekend. Steelers. I love that we're playing the Steelers all the way on Halloween. Like I do too. I can't wait, honestly, to see the crowd. So Jeremy, you're going to have to also be a advisor for us on
I'll send you
what you're
I'll
seeing,
send you guys
because I can
some
only
pictures.
imagine the TV, like the costumes, like the not for TV costumes with Big Ben somehow, some way, shape, or form. That is,
Oh boy,
I can just feel it.
You're right.
So big matchup up for us this week for sure. And I think what's our biggest matchup right now though is really our injuries and the health. I mean, the health is going to really tell the tale of this game and how it's going to turn out. I really think so. I mean, we need our offensive tackles to be healthy. And look, the good news, Nick Chubb practiced today. So he's looking like he should be good to go on Sunday. But the other major question mark is Baker. And do you play him or do you not? So, Chase, are you playing Baker this Sunday or not?
I mean, he didn't practice today.
He did not.
Which other players did that were trending towards playing. I don't know. I know Baker wants to play.
Yes.
I don't know that from him. I just know as a competitor, and he wanted to play last week.
Did you see him on the sidelines on Thursday?
He was pretty pumped.
I mean, no one doubts that. No one doubts his strength or his willing to go out there and get the job done. And he wants to be the guy. I mean, no one doubts that for sure. But he doesn't play. Like, do we get it done with Case again? I'm certainly not as confident as I was against Denver.
My biggest concern is Case Keenum versus that Steelers D line.
Yes.
That is the only thing that worries me about this game, and only because when they make an impact, usually translates to points somehow for them. I don't want to spot the Steelers. I don't want to have the inverse of what happened in the playoff game happen to us, where we spot them 14 points off a fumble return or a pick six, which Baker's put into fumbling as well. But it's just, you just have to trust that, hey, Keenum and Stefanski went to the NFC Championship game a couple years ago. And so he's the highest paid backup in the league.
Right.
So breathe easy and trust the professionals who are paid to do this and enjoy the game.
All right, Jeremy.
That's what I got.
Give me your thoughts.
So it's kind of funny. I think, we think of the Pittsburgh Steelers and think, oh, look at the steel curtain defense. Oh, they're so good. They're not really that great anymore. That's not their formula anymore. Yes, they have TJ Watt. Yes, he can be a game breaker. Yes, he makes a lot of big plays. Yes, Minka Fitzpatrick has a nose for the ball, but the Steelers are having trouble stopping the run. I don't know if you watched them last Monday night against a Seattle team that was completely banged up, had their backup quarterback out, Chris Carson out, and Collins, their third string running back, ran all over the Steelers. So I think you're going to see the Browns try to execute their normal formula. They're going to try to get up early, then they're going to try to take the air to the ball and pound it at the Steelers. And in the past, you'd probably say that was a losing formula, but not now. The Pittsburgh Steelers are giving up over 108 yards a game against the rush. It's not the way we think of the Steelers in the past. I think the other thing we're going to have to do is Pittsburgh has kind of transitioned back to the quick passing game, getting the ball out of Ben's hands quickly. I think the Browns are going to have to try to take away those short routes, play some more press man. We always complain that the Browns seem to give up those. I think we need to get into receivers and make Ben hold the ball, where he is now susceptible to making big mistakes, as we saw in the playoff game last year. He can't run away from Jadeveon Clowney. He can't run away from Myles Garrett anymore. He's like a statue back in the pocket. So I think the Browns' game plan has to be try to, force them to hold the ball. Don't let them kill them with these little quick passes. Keep an eye on Najee Harris out of the backfield, because he's been excellent out of the backfield. And then just our normal formula: get up early and pound the rock. And I think
Baker is
go ahead.
Sorry, I thought you were done, Jay.
Go.
I was going to say Baker, including playoffs, is 3-3 against the Steelers with a 80.4 quarterback rating. So Baker has had success against the Steelers, which hasn't been the case for any Browns quarterback. I want Baker to play, obviously. I hope he does, especially if we're just doing handoffs and play actions.
Well, it's going to be like I said earlier, I think very much a week to week decision. I mean, if they're able to contain the swelling or the pain, where they can get it to a manageable level for him, and he wants to play, then fine. I mean, he's got a fracture that came out last week, which was also random, by the way, with how that came out was it through Jay Glazer? So if that's the case, and he's that banged up, and it does, I worry one big hit and he's done. But if he's going to need surgery anyways, is he willing to risk that? And I feel like Baker Mayfield is like, yeah, I want to get out there. I want to do what I can. So it's a really weird situation. It's a touchy situation. We don't know all the details, and everyone's different. He even said to himself, like, no one knows how I feel but me. And I totally understand that. But at the same time, we do have this backup for a reason. Nobody wants to see Case. There's no Baker, or there's no quarterback controversy by any means. That's stupid. We know that he's our guy, but at what risk are we willing to take every week? And, is this Steelers matchup worth putting him out there for? I don't know. I mean, it's seen what Case could do last week, and we were able to just sneak by and get it done. Maybe we keep that on. And because if another week rest for him is a little bit more for him to keep that swelling down, keep the pain manageable, then, we have then the AFC North is no joke right now. I mean, you watched that, probably that Bengals Ravens game yesterday. I mean, this is a big game for us to win, but we also need to start preparing, because we have some decent matchups coming up. I'm not counting the Bengals out. I mean, I can't. And we haven't beat the Ravens. So,
yeah, AFC North is no joke. You have the Bengals, who are probably overplaying expectations and exceeding maybe what people thought they were going to do. Obviously, I mean, they're like 5-2, or they're just really on a hot streak now. Ravens fighting through all these injuries, and the Steelers not having a good year. They have the 31st ranked defense, the 28th offense. I'm sorry, the 31st ranked rushing offense. Sorry, the fourth best defense. They just kind of struggle, and we can't afford to lose 2 straight and then win 1. And this is, I know we just said the Denver was a big game, but this is our first AFC North divisional game. Like, got to start that out. We can't drop a game to the Steelers if we're really looking
especially
to
the
make some
Steelers
moves
team.
here,
I mean,
so.
this is definitely a very, very winnable game. And I know we're picked across the board for the most part. So, it's definitely doable, winnable. And so because of that, now I want your predictions, guys. What are you thinking score-wise?
I think the Browns are going to win 27-14. I think the defense is going to play well. We're going to fluster Ben into more turnovers, and we're going to get we're going to get a lot of pressure on him. I think we are going to have a game plan that forces him to hold the ball longer. And I think we're going to run it down their throats. I don't think the Steelers can stop the run. I know that's crazy to say. I think with Chubb and Dearness Johnson as the 1-2 punch this week, the Browns are going to run the ball. They're going to get back to, like they did this past week, to their formula of winning. They're going to get up early and they're going to take the air out of the ball, and the Browns are going to win. And it's going to be crazy at First Energy Stadium on Halloween night. Can't imagine how crazy it's going to be up there after the game, but the Browns are going to win, and 27-14.
All right, I got the line. Jay, do you know the line?
Have not looked
for the game.
I'm going to guess.
Holly, do you know yet?
No. Mm-mm.
All right, let's hear it. That's Jay. What do you think?
5.5 Browns.
Okay, Holly, what do you got?
6.5.
The line is Steelers +3. So Vegas is saying that the teams are even,
then
and that the Browns with the home field advantage. So that's interesting. My prediction is Browns 21, Steelers 20.
There we go.
Wow. Nice and close.
Yeah.
Nice and tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I feel like I'm going to go 28-24 or 28-21 Browns. That's kind of where or 27-21, I should say, Browns.
So that's how you just throw a bunch of scores out there. And
no, I did do the 17-14
is that how this works?
We're either going to win. We're either going to win by a touchdown or a field goal. And I think Stefanski's going to get a little cute again because that's what he loves to do. But I think we might be able to convert on some of these fourth down go-getters. So just settle in because they're not ending.
Oh yeah. I will post I have a prediction thread going, and that might change by the time I post that on Sunday. Jeremy, I wish I could tag you on Twitter, but I don't know your burner, so I can't do that. Bring this back full circle.
I have not logged into that godforsaken place. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a burner. I haven't been on there. The only time I ever go on there is if I type Oranges Oranger into Google and just read what you guys have posted.
Don't worry.
So I do not go
let
on
Jeremy
Twitter
know
at all.
all the nasty things that are said about either one of us. I got a nice running list of insults, and they're pretty good, actually. So.
No, I think some other personalities have taken a lot of the heat that you got. I bet if you came back, there might be one or two, but there's a couple people that take a lot of your heat, right? I know,
I heard.
Has kind of absorbed like all the vitriol that went to the JIA.
Yeah.
So
I could come in and fly under the radar for a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to create a burner, Jeremy, to be like my fan, then by all means, then that's definitely something that you can do.
I'll come in and white knight for you.
Be my Kevin Durant, please.
Yes.
All right. Well, I will. Okay,
awesome.
I'll say 28-24 Browns. Okay, there you go. There's my final. All right.
There we go.
Okay.
Love it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. It has been an awesome conversation all over the board. Chase, thanks so much for coming back and joining us. This has been super fun. It's been nice to debate a little bit because Jeremy and I are very smart and we just agree on a lot of things. So it's really nice to have someone that, we need to basically school on the truth. So thanks for doing that.
Yes.
Anytime. Love it. Thank you for the invitation. You guys are doing a great job with the show. I still think it's the best Browns pod available, and I say that without apology. You guys are the best. The show's the best. Shouts to Eli, producer. Let's go, baby.
Eli's been fantastic. So
nice work. All right,
guys. Well, that is it for us on the Oranges Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on Apple and check us out at pressplaypodcast.com, at pressplaypods, and at Oranges Oranger on Twitter and Instagram. And let's get this dub against the lame black and yellow, a washed up Big Ben. Go Browns.
Hey, Holly, but before we go, let me remind people the Odell Beckham signed football. There's only a few tickets left. You guys did great getting it. If you go to my Facebook page, there's a link there. There's only a couple tickets left. Sign it, and we will actually announce the winner on our show. So buy a raffle ticket and maybe get an Odell Beckham Jr. signed football and be announced on our show. All exciting stuff.
All good stuff. All right, guys, let's go Browns. Talk to you next week.
All right. See ya.